This is episode 83 of the After Gambling Podcast. And in this episode, we're going to talk all about coaching. Hey there, and welcome to the After Gambling Podcast. My name is Jamie. I am a former problem gambler. Now I haven't gambled in over 10 years, and I do this little podcast to help other people that may be struggling with a gambling addiction or know somebody that's struggling with a gambling addiction, or just somebody that's curious about gambling addiction, wants to better understand it. So I've done this podcast to share my story, the story of other people, with the hopes that it can become a resource to help others. And now, almost 3.5 years in and several 100,000 downloads later and nice messages, I think it's safe to say that this has been a success. It's something I'm very proud of. And I say that because I'm excited for the next stage. And as you know, I've been taking some time off over the last year and a half. I haven't been as regular with the podcast for a couple of reasons. I've often said I treat this more as a book. It's something that I don't always have something to say, or at times I have a lot to say, but I feel like I need to really sort it out in my head before I get it out on microphone. And I think there's some truth to that. I think I would push back and challenge my own beliefs in that, to say that actually coming on here and trying to speak it into life instead of just being in my head is something that's always been very positive for me, and it's something that I need to continue to do. And so I will say up front, I am renewing my commitment to the podcast. I will be producing episodes that go out every week. So there's going to be a new episode every week into this foreseeable future. So hopefully, if you are a long-time listener, that excites you. We're going to have some new episodes. And obviously, I want to go back and touch on some of the old episodes. And I'll continue to do episodes with guests. I have an awesome recording with my guy, Brendan, from Australia, that I feel absolutely terrible about not having posted yet. We did it during lockdown, during the pandemic. And it's something that has been kind of weighing on my mind that I haven't gotten out there. So I apologize, Brendan. I'm going to get that edited. That will be an episode that goes up. The last Friday of every month is going to be an episode where I have the interview with somebody that went through a gambling problem, or is in the midst of a gambling problem, or overcoming a gambling problem, and has kind of gotten to the other side, life after gambling. So that will be the last Friday of every month. I will reserve for those interviews. A lot of people have reached out to do interviews, and it's something I really enjoy doing those. So I'm going to shoot for doing one of those a month, but we'll be recording hopefully quite a few of those here in the next month or two, so that I can get that pipeline filled up. Now, as I said in the intro, this is an episode that's all about coaching. And this comes from a couple different things. And I'm not going to bury the lead. One thing I'm really excited about is that I'm going to be offering some coaching services. If you are a listener and you say, hey, I really want to chat with you one-on-one, that's going to be an option now. I've had a couple people reach out in the past to express interest in that. And it's something that I'll be honest, I just kind of was like, I don't know, does anybody really going to get value out of that? And I was kind of downplaying in my head. But when I really sit back and think about it, I was just kind of hesitant to do some of the legwork that needed to get done to get that prepared. And now that stuff is done and I'm excited. You can go check out aftergambling.com/coaching if you are interested in that. And if you are, I look forward to connecting. If you're not, no biggie. Please continue to listen. As I said, I'm going to keep posting episodes every week, which is just a nice way to continue to hopefully support your recovery. So try to give as many ways as possible to kind of engage and get involved in the podcast, whether you come on and do a recording, share your story, whether we do some one-on-one coaching. I'm probably going to also have some courses here in the near future, in addition to just new episodes. And who knows, maybe I'll write a book at some point, but that's down the road. But the coaching is definitely something I'm interested in. And really the thing that finally pushed me over the edge was coaching my son's baseball team. We did Coaches Pitch Baseball, which we missed last year with the pandemic and with lockdown. We didn't have any baseball. And I absolutely loved coaching the T-ball team. And so last year I really missed not having that team because it was just so much fun. I really enjoyed the feedback that I got from the kids and their energy and the excitement. And also it just kind of renewed in me. I'm naturally a teacher. I come from a family of educators, and it's kind of in my DNA to want to help people. to want to reach out and provide guidance and ideas and suggestions. Hell, that's why I have this whole podcast, right? Like this is one of those ways that I share what's in my head as a way to try and help coach other people at scale. The downside of it is that I don't get to see that feedback. I don't have that one-on-one. Obviously, I get the nice notes, and those are really cool. But when I was doing the coaching, I really, really just enjoyed kind of having that interaction and seeing the development over the weeks and months of the season. Because these kids went from early on, I mean, some of them could barely hit or struggle to throw. And then towards the end of the season, all of a sudden we're catching fly balls and we're turning double plays, which isn't that hard when kids don't know that they have to tag up. But it was just cool to see that development. And it was really just a very enriching and positive experience in my life, and something that gave me just some nice warm and fuzzy feelings. Just made me feel good, made me smile. It was something I really looked forward to and enjoyed, seeing that progress and showing up for those practices. And I really believe that the coaching services can do a lot of that same stuff for me and for others. It's one of those win-win situations where it's a mutually beneficial engagement that both sides win, both sides walk away feeling better about themselves and about their path and just life in general. There's an element of connection there with the coaching that I know I personally enjoy. So I want to open it up and see what the interest level is. So if you're interested, once again, you can go to aftergambling.com/coaching to check out that offering. Now, as I said, there's two sides of coaching, obviously, right? You have the coach, and then you have the player, or the person that is being trained, like the person that's showing up to listen, right? And I would encourage you to try to play both of those roles, to find ways in the gambling space, after gambling, the recovery space, to try to be both a coach and the coached. And in a lot of ways, like this is GA, right? Like you go and you share your story, and that's kind of your way to coach other people just by sharing your own stuff. You're not intentionally saying, hey, do this, do that. But through your own experiences, the things you're going through, people can learn from that. You are the coach in that situation. And then when we stop and we listen to other people, now all of a sudden we become the person that's being coached. And we suck up all that information, which then we say, hey, that might work for me. And we apply that to areas of our life. And so, I always encourage you to go on Reddit or to go on, the Discord, which I haven't been on much recently, and I apologize for that. But find these places where you can fill these different roles. So when you listen to the podcast, if there's something that clicks, go on and try and share that idea and put your own spin on it to help other people. Seek out, see if there are other people that are struggling with a similar situation. And if they are on Reddit, then share what your experiences are, things that you've learned from your GA programs, things that you've learned from working with a therapist or listening to this podcast or other podcasts, or just life lessons. I think we're all hesitant to share our experiences because we don't want other people to judge us, or we don't want to come off as trying to be too pushy. But I think just sharing, and if you do it through the lens of, hey, here's something that works for me, hopefully it works for you, I don't think anybody's really going to be turned off by that. And I know, just as it was with me with coaching with my son's baseball team, and I've seen it in my day-to-day life. I do coaching, I do brand strategy and storytelling. I'm working with business owners and marketing departments to help them refine their marketing efforts and their storytelling. So in that way, I often play the role of the coach as well, just in my professional life. But I've seen in both of these, there's a couple things. First of all, you're going to have some struggle, right? You're going to run into those situations where you just want to grab the kid and be like, no, you're not throwing the ball right. Do this, and keep trying. You got to learn patience, right? Part of being a coach is trying different communication methods. And you're going to run into these difficult times where the person might want to quit, or where you want to quit, but you stick with it and you help guide them through. You come, okay, that way's not working. And the coach says, hey, let's try a different way. What if we change it? And you change your wording, the way you approach it. Sometimes it's just your voice, the inflection in your voice, or you find a different strategy. Hey, that one didn't work. Let's try this other one. But in doing that, we embrace this difficult thing, and it really pays off, I guess. It just feels good when we struggle a little bit and then we get through it. I think there's so much value in sticking with things and getting through the struggle. And that's something that we didn't do when we were gambling. Gambling was often the escape from the struggle. So coaching and having that commitment to that person that's looking to you for guidance is a great opportunity to stick with something and to see it through and to work through those difficult times in order to get to that successful outcome that both you and the player, you and the person that you're coaching want to get. And so I think there's so much value in that. So I would encourage you, like I said, go on, and if it starts online and you're just kind of sharing your thoughts and idea, coaching that way. Or maybe there's some kind of hobby or interest. Maybe you're into sports and you get involved in, like I did, coaching youth sports or training at your work, finding something in your work where you can help train other people. There's so many opportunities to be a coach. And I think, and I'm going to touch on some of these positive effects and outcomes in some of the upcoming episodes. But I truly believe that focusing and looking for ways and places in your life to be a coach and also ways to be coached, there's so much value there. That's where the connection is. It connects you with another human being on both circumstances, whether you are the coach or the person being coached. And I just think that is something that we're starting to lose in our day-to-day life as we moved so much to a digital platform. And I know Reddit's digital, and so that would obviously be one that would be good. But if you can find in your life something that you show up in person, coaching, or if it's on a Zoom call, something where you see another person, you chat, you hear their voice. There's so much to that deeper connection that comes from those one-on-one interactions. And I would really just encourage you to look for these opportunities to be a coach in some aspect of your life, because I really think that it's going to benefit you. It's going to help you to get beyond some of the gambling thoughts, whether you're early on or haven't been gambling for quite some time. I just think there's so much value to be gained by sharing our knowledge with other people and creating that connection. So that's why I'm kind of doubling down on coaching. I'm not only doing it obviously with the podcast, but I'm trying to create more coaching in my business, in my work, where I set up and I open up where I'm not doing the work. Because in the past, I would do the websites, I would do a lot of the creative and do a lot of the marketing efforts. But ultimately, what I realized, I love that coaching part. The part is the strategy and guiding people through these difficult situations and things that can become complicated and complex. I love that coaching aspect. So I'm trying to build that into my business. I'm building it into obviously the podcast. I'm building it in with my personal life, coaching my kids' teams, coaching my kids. That's something I've really taken a lot of responsibility on. Especially as the kids get older, I feel like dads, like when they start to hit, my kids are 6 and 8, all of a sudden they hit a different age, and it goes from kind of the moms, I think, have a huge advantage when they're younger. Like there's a connection there that isn't there with dads until they start to do things that there's some kind of shared interest. I don't know if there's anything to that, but I definitely feel that. And as my kids get into sports, and I feel responsible for teaching them sort of the ways of the world. Like, okay, here's how to act. And it's not that we haven't worked on manners all along, but you can speak to them at a little bit more of an adult level and say, hey, look, here's how people are going to respond if you do that. And we talk about gambling. We talk about just life situations. We talk about money. We talk about everything. And they're curious and they're trying to pull in all this information. And I've really taken it on myself and really taken ownership of that responsibility, that I'm responsible for preparing them for their life as they get into their teens and as they get to become adults, because I want to make sure that they have the ability and just kind of these thought processes to challenge things and to question things and to do just kind of a good job at sorting through the things that come at them in life. Because I can't bubble wrap them. I can't just say, okay, you don't want to see gambling ads. You're not going to see advertising for alcohol. Your friends aren't going to try to get you to come to a party or to stay out late past curfew or to do things that you shouldn't do, like steal. I'm not going to be there to bubble wrap them and prevent them from doing those things for eternity. So I need to start preparing them. I need to start coaching them so that when they get to those situations, they have hopefully the thought process developed where they can start to think through it and make decisions for themselves that are good decisions and healthy decisions. So that's just another way that I've been doing a lot of coaching. So obviously, as you can see, coaching is kind of top of mind right now. It's also probably why I'm trying to get back into the podcast, because there's no greater output from my work than I've done through the podcast. I think it's reached the most people. It has the widest kind of group following along with it, and so it's something that I'm very proud of it and excited to get back into it for some more seasons, some more episodes, and I just have to get over myself and thinking that nobody wants to hear about me talk about this stuff again. Because hey, the reality is maybe some people don't, but they can stop listening. They don't have to download it. They don't have to listen. But the people that want to listen, I want to be able to share my thoughts, my views, and try to coach you through. Because also I know there's going to come a time, and there's so many times that some of my good friends now that I chat with quite often listen to the podcast, and they'll remind me of something that I said a long time ago. I'm like, damn, thank you for that reminder. I needed that reminder because I forget about this stuff. Like, sure, it made sense a couple of years ago, but I haven't even thought about it, and I need to go back and listen to the podcast. And so I become the student as much as anything when people listen to the podcast and kind of remind me about certain episodes. So that's been a really cool and healthy thing for me. So yeah, if you are interested in coaching, you can check out aftergambling.com/coaching. Or if you're just interested in supporting the show, you've listened and you just want to send a token of appreciation, you can go to aftergambling.com/support to support the show, and appreciate all the support in the past. This is something that I would ideally like to do without sponsors, and I haven't had any sponsors in the past. I don't really have any plans to do it in the future. So having these smaller ways where people can support the show and kind of support the efforts is something that just works out better for me. So hopefully you are now inspired to get out and find an area of your life that you can begin to coach, to do some coaching, to support somebody else, because I think and I know that it's going to help you. You're going to look back on it and see, wow, this is something that really adds to my life in a nice, positive way. And so I encourage you, find whatever it is that you're interested in, that you have a unique knowledge, unique skill set in, and then find some people that are looking to acquire that knowledge or skill set and start coaching them and see what happens. Now, as always, and as the coaching agreement says, coaching is done. I'm just a guy that had a gambling problem. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a financial planner. I'm not any of those things. And this podcast or any coaching or any type of service I ever do in the future should ever try to replace any of those things. That's not what it's meant for. I encourage you, please seek out professional help. It's not a replacement. I am truly just a guy that had a gambling problem and knows a thing or two about how to stop. And finally, music for the show is Something Elated by Broke for Free and is licensed under the Creative Commons license. My name is Jamie, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.